Many people who have an unruptured brain aneurysm are walking around, they don't even know it. The rupture can happen at any time, and because it's so deadly, we want to try to catch these brain aneurysms before they rupture so that people can get preventative treatment. My name is Vincent Tutino, and I am President and CEO of Neurovascular Diagnostics. What we're trying to do is develop an inexpensive and fast blood test to identify individuals who have unruptured brain aneurysms. Medical imaging is the best way to diagnose these. The problem is that without any symptoms, patients are rarely screened for aneurysm. The Brain Aneurysm Foundation was what funded this project from the beginning. We were first doing smaller proof of concept studies looking at specifically the gene expression in certain white blood cells, mainly neutrophils, and looking at the differences between patients who do and don't have aneurysms. The white blood cells in the blood actually change gene expression based on either an interaction with the aneurysm lesion itself or with changes to the blood, such as the release of cytokines or inflammatory mediators from the aneurysm wall. We have a prototype diagnostic that uses patients' whole blood that we call AneuScreenTM. Your doctor would prescribe you this test. At the lab, they'll run an assay. The assay will give you levels of RNA through some processes and reactions and chemistry, and then we have AI algorithms that then relate the expression levels of those RNAs, and it will output a prediction if somebody has an aneurysm. The second project corresponds to whether they have either a larger aneurysm or an aneurysm that clinicians can classify as being riskier. And then we'll have kind of this one-stop shop where you can, before somebody knows they have an aneurysm or receives any imaging, you can test their blood and you can say whether you do or do not have an aneurysm, and if you do, is it higher risk or lower risk? Grants from the Brain Aneurysm Foundation are important because they will fund things that have a direct impact on patients, but also that might be, a little bit earlier stage, a little bit riskier research. Brain Aneurysm Foundation was kind of that critical seed funding that enabled us to gain a critical mass. And that's really when everything took off. We were able to meet the funder, Jeff Harvey. Jeff's wife, about 15 years ago, died of a ruptured aneurysm. She never knew that she even had one. Through stories like Jeff's and people who have aneurysms, the survivors and the family members of those who unfortunately haven't survived, are a really big motivator in pursuing and continuing this research. We're hoping that in the next 3 to 4 years, we can develop this into what's called a lab-developed test. This could be accessible to everybody at a much cheaper rate than current medical imaging. It's very satisfying to do something that, you can see how it will benefit people's lives.